This is someone who's been in the news a lot lately, mostly around a fight with Yahoo, but is also a really fascinating guy. So, Jack Ma, without further ado.
Sell, 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 sell. Tell all the people that you care for.
Jack, I'm sorry you're running a little late, and after this we'll be going to a nice dinner for you. I know you came in from China, so you might be a little jet lagged. I'm going to start off with what you're expecting. What is up with you and Carol Bartz and Yahoo?
Well, before I speak, I just want to clarify that I'm 100% made in China. I self-taught my English, so maybe the way I talk may be totally different from most of the people. I hope that if I make any politically wrong mistakes, please forgive me.
Oh, we'll love that. That would be great.
Yeah. Well, you want to know, yeah, she's my investor and partner. Mm-hmm. And we have not, we sort of have sort of tough days before, but we're working on.
Okay, let's talk about the tough days before. What has been the problems in the partnership with Yahoo over the years, especially recently?
Well, I think we probably have a different view of the China market, customers and employees and colleagues and culture, and we have a different.
And what is that different view?
Well, I think Yahoo did a pretty good job in the past years in the States, but come to China, definitely not that good. And I don't know whether we are lucky or unlucky we got Yahoo China. Mm-hmm. And we're trying to turning that around. And later, as we say, that we will be focused on still helping the SMEs, small, medium-sized business, focus on consumers, and focus on the e-commerce, which we believed in. And they have different ideas. Then that's probably the problems. But I think it's understandable for all the partners that we have different ideas on market, on customers. But
what were the different ideas of how you marketed in China, or what was how to reach the customers?
I think the first time we met, that I fully understand what she thought, because Yahoo China did not so successful in China, so she's not happy. I understand. If I were the CEO, I would not be happy about that. Mm-hmm. And but I would be very happy if Yahoo USA came back.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. So mind your knitting kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Okay. That's an American expression. I like the little twinkle in your eye there. So you fast forward today. So you had a difficult relationship. You were talking about first encounter in Silicon Valley when you had the meeting where she said she didn't like what you were doing.
A lot of people don't like me. That's fine, yeah.
Okay, but here's your...
I don't want to be liked, I want to be respected.
Okay, all right.
Don't love your CEO, respect your CEO, listen to your CEO. So.
All right, so you have that difficulty. You come to today, Alipay.
Yep.
They were alleging until recently that you had essentially stolen it from them, that you had done it without their say-so, that you had moved this into the other... What Alibaba said was that you needed this license in China. You needed to move it into Chinese ownership, meaning your ownership and the other Chinese members of Alibaba Group, and you wouldn't have gotten the license, and therefore Alipay wouldn't have existed. That was essentially
what do you mean by steal? I heard a lot of words like I'm stealing something from the investors into my own pocket.
Right.
How could you do that in the 21st century, at the internet time, and the people like you look on me all the time?
Right, okay.
And I've got 22,000 employees and colleagues working day and night. How can I... This talk is just like, as I say, it's like a peace talk on the United Nations. It's very complicated.
Okay.
Different paths, and we've been discussing that for over 3 years. So it's impossible that the board does not know that. But I understand, because Yahoo maybe has their stand, because Yahoo have taken care of the Yahoo shareholders. SoftBank probably think about SoftBank, and for me, I have to take care of the shareholders of all of them, the employees, the customers, and everything. Somebody has to take the responsibility. Somebody has to be the leader to make decisions, to move things ahead.
Right.
And I think to me, what worries me most is that if we do not get the license,
right, then
Taobao is gone, Alibaba is gone, and I don't have to come here today, right? Because we will worry all the time if we don't have the license.
Right.
So
they made these public statements of not knowing. Mm-hmm. You made a statement that they did know.
Well, I don't know, and I don't want to know why they say this, and I understand what they say, but for me, I think I'll do the right things. We should get license for the Alipay first. If without that thing, everything is just a zero.
So where are you now? Because recently they've been more nice about you. They haven't said they have a problem, everything's in the past.
Oh, because I'm a good guy, you know. That
Okay,
has to be
right,
nice,
okay.
Yeah.
So you're the good guy, all right.
But
where are you now in your settlement negotiations?
Well, we start the talk, as I said, get the license, and we all agreed that we should get it, and then we start talking about the business deals, the interest. I think people should understand, it's not about interest. To me is not that important. Mm-hmm. What I want to do is that we are setting up examples for Chinese companies, especially most of the SMEs that are using our services, that doing business in China or everywhere in the world, this principle is that we have to be 100% legal, 100% transparent, and we always have to be making sure the company can last long, healthy, grow. So based on that, we start to talk. Right. But these are the three principles that we start to talk about the interest. And people say, well, Jack, you do that because you want to own it, or you personally want to get it. I think the happiest days of my life was when I get $10 a month pay. Okay. Today I have a problem, you know. At that time I worked for 3 months, I can buy a bicycle. But today, money is not the things I'm interested in. Mm-hmm. Today, how much I can help China, help the internet world by using the resources we have. I will regret at the end of the day that I told myself, Jack, you have more than 20,000 young people, great young people in China. You have over 300 million users, and we can influence China. We can improve the assets, small, medium-sized companies, which I did nothing, just to making money. Right. So that's our regret. So I think today we start your discussions with Yahoo and with SoftBank, and how close are you to an agreement on that? Well, it depends on, as I said, it's a peace talk is always difficult. It's always complicated. Right. But we are full of confidence. I'm an optimistic guy, and we're working on that. Mm-hmm. So but it's three people all at once, so it's made even more difficult. Yeah. 3 entities. Yeah. 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 But you expect to have some settlement at some point. Sure, sure. Because I think I'm a shareholder of Alibaba Group, and I'm the single largest personal shareholder of the group. And I have so many wonderful colleagues. I have to take care of the interest of them. There's no intention that I want to do. Would you like to have a less of an ownership by Yahoo or SoftBank in Alibaba Group, as they have alleged many times that you just want to get back your shares? Well, we want to get back some of the shares to make sure the company is getting healthier. And I mean, healthier is at such a huge company that the management and the core Chinese partner is only very small. Japan's big and the US is big. So if we can do something that adjusts that, I'll be very happy to do that. How much would you like to have foreign ownership versus? How much of the foreign ownership? Yeah. Well, when I look at the company like IBM and Microsoft and Nokia, I want every shareholder of, sort of diversified, not one person or one company, including me or anybody, that be the biggest one. Yeah, try to diversify. Okay. So one of the things that raised during this entire thing that happened was the idea of doing business in China, the difficulty of doing business. Is this an object lesson in doing business in China, or is this just a regular fight between two owners? How do you look at, for a lot of Silicon Valley companies had difficulty moving into China, have had difficulty, what do you say to them? I think doing business everywhere is difficult, not only China. All right. The easiest day was yesterday, and there's no better market than your own market. So it's not specifically doing business in China is very difficult, because when we start our business, we got to see like 2,000 new internet companies jump up every week. Mm-hmm. And today, most companies die. Mm-hmm. We are probably the very few lucky companies that are still surviving. Mm-hmm. And I see thousands of companies die every month or every week. In China. So I think the top, Yahoo and Google and
eBay.
or eBay or these companies not successful, the ratio is small. But, you know, no Chinese internet company today is successful in USA yet. We're not starting it yet. So we will face the same challenge in the future.
Right, coming here.
Yeah.
So talk about doing business in China. Is it a Chinese-only environment, or do you see any other companies coming in and doing a massive business there, or does it have to be Chinese-owned?
No. The Nokia, the Microsoft, the IBM, the Ford, they're all very successful. I think if you want to do China, you got, like any other in the world, that you should send the best people, the entrepreneurs, and serve the customers instead of serving your bosses. And making sure the business is good and the customers is happy, and long-term investors. I think there are a lot of hedge fund or gamblers that they are, if they want to make quick money, I show no sympathy. I mean, sorry for that. Gambling is difficult everywhere in the world.
Okay, right. So in terms of what's happening in China right now, one of the biggest explosive markets, companies every day, lots of things going public. How do you assess your competitors? Are your competitors you have largely a Chinese company, you're thinking about moving elsewhere. First talk about the idea of you coming here and Chinese companies coming here.
Well, first, I don't like talking about a competition, not because I think competition is a fun part of the business. I think as a business leader, I always focus on myself, on the customers, and my team. Then, if I have time, then think about the competitors. Our competition in China, I do not see strong competition from, because we are positioned different. We are positioned as a platform. We try to making sure Alibaba is the infrastructure of China e-commerce, or maybe we're lucky enough to be the infrastructure of China commerce. And most of Chinese companies are interested in building products. So I don't see there a big competition, which this make me worried. So I want to do something to incentive the healthy competition.
Right. So talk about what people who aren't familiar. Alibaba Group has several different entities.
Yeah, Alibaba has. We got 5 companies. We grow from it's 12-year-old company. We want to last 102 years. Because why 102 years? Because I want every number you give the team should be accurate. Okay. We were born last century, 1999. Last century we had 1 year. This century we had 100 years, and next century we have 1 year. 102 years cross 3 centuries. I don't care after that we die or not.
Okay, all right. So, okay.
I just care about 100 because we have another 90 years to go.
Okay.
We grow
for
from
2101. You're finished. Okay, all right.
What, is that true?
Yeah, that's right.
I'm not good at math.
Okay. All right.
But I think sorry, what?
Oh, sorry, I was talking about your companies. Talk about the company.
Our company, yeah. We grow from 18 people to 22,000 employees now within 12 years. So it's faster growing. And we're from one company that is focused on B2B, help small, medium-sized companies to import-export. And that company is listed in Hong Kong. And second company is Taobao.com. People say Taobao is like eBay. No. Taobao and eBay totally different. We focus more small B2C, that's pure C2C. And the third company is called Alipay. It's an online third payment. And people say Alipay is like a PayPal. No, it's different. PayPal is based on credit card and things. We are like escrow services, and it's a new innovation in China. And the fourth company, we have Ali Cloud Computing, because we have the data from SME, we have the data from consumers, we have data from the transactions from Alipay. So we have the cloud computing. And the fifth company we just set up is Alibaba Logistic Companies.
Logistic companies.
Yeah.
And do you expect to grow to others, or is these are the core? This e-commerce platform.
I think e-commerce is already big enough. Not like the USA. I think e-commerce in the USA is a dessert because everything's so good.
A dessert?
Yes, because I think e-commerce in China will become the main course.
I see.
Because in the USA, when I started business e-commerce in China 12 years ago, and everybody said, no, Jack, don't do internet because government censorship, because no trust, because no banking cards, nothing at all. So I said, this is why they need us, entrepreneurs, to go and build it up. And Because U.S. all the things are so good, so that becomes a dessert. Very difficult. It's just complementary to the current system. But China, because everything is so bad, so we are lucky to become the main course.
The main course.
Yeah,
okay.
like mobile phones.
Meaning that people don't have the ability to purchase in general in the same way they do here. So how do you look to move into this country? What are you thinking of? You announced a variety of things about moving here.
Well, I think our philosophy always like global vision, local win. And China has a huge market. There are a lot of things we should do better. But in the States, we acquired two companies in California, and we have R&D center in Silicon Valley, and we're also testing our market in India. And I think because we have 90 years to go, so don't worry.
Oh, okay, all right. Okay. So, in your 90 years, do you imagine other Chinese companies coming over here and buying? Could you buy Yahoo someday, for example?
I'd love to if somebody can let me the money.
Okay, all right. Okay.
I'd love to. Buying somebody is always easier than doing something. But buying is easy, but making things happen is more fun. So I'd love to make something ourselves. But if we can have chance, I'll definitely do it.
Do you see that happening? Chinese companies coming over here and purchasing as they start to go public?
Yeah, I see a lot of training and thinking and vision. Chinese people always think about, some good things outside China because the competition in China is really tough.
So let's talk about doing business in China. You touched on internet censorship there. How do you look at Google's experience there? How do people running Chinese companies? I suspect you have to be careful in how you talk about this, and maybe not.
Well, we can talk about. Everywhere I go and outside China, people ask me about the government censorship, but I would do the opposite. I would say, well, anywhere doing business is difficult, and follow the law everywhere you go. And we see if China. The one thing I always want to tell the people outside China: think about. China has been keep on growing, for 30 years. There must be reasons behind it. And internet, if China is really that censorship, how can China become a country that over 500 million internet users? As entrepreneur, I'm not government. I'm not speaking for government. And as an entrepreneur, I always see the optimistic side, the great side, the good side of the internet, how it can help, instead of seeing the bad sides. I think the censorship probably 3% or 5%, 90% opportunities. Why not grasp that and develop it?
Well, because some of the censorship is on specific things.
Yeah, if I come to, there is one guy that in the States said, Jack, China, everywhere there are hosts. Not safe, not secure. And I say, well, if you're looking for a host, you can find a host everywhere. What I find is the path among all the hosts. And there is always a way there.
Pass around these rules. Which is the way you do business there, is the idea of...
No. Oh, well, in the other hand, pass is one thing about... I was frustrated at the beginning when I hear people say, Jack, you are stealing the Alipay outside properties of the Alibaba group, because I remember 15 years ago when I started business, and I heard people outside China in Western countries, when the government law comes, everybody think about how to follow the laws, do things. When Chinese people always think about it, we can avoid the laws. So I respect a lot. I think this is probably the way, this is the way to do right the business. Now, in China, for Alipay, I'm following the laws.
Right. And
people say, hey, there are millions of ways you can avoid this, avoid that. And I say, well, it's a sad thing. This is thing I learned from outside China. And now people telling me it is wrong thing to follow the laws.
Right. Okay. So let's talk about your religion. You talk a lot about your religion.
Yep.
And it's not a religion, it's the religion of business, I guess.
Yep.
Talk about the three aspects of it. You have three rules, which I think people would find interesting.
Well, one of the religion which I believe that you have to, I always believe, a lot of shareholders here probably may not like it, but I tell the truth. I always believe customer number one, employee number two, shareholder number three.
Right.
Because it's the customer that pay us. My philosophy is that if I make my people happy, my people can make the customer happy. If the customer happy, the business happy, and the shareholders happy. So I always believe on that.
So customers 1, employees
Employee 2, and shareholder number 3. Shareholder number 3, because the only thing I think with the shareholders is transparent and governance and making sure everybody knows the fact.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then your second one? Your second religion?
Well, the second religion I would do is the value. The mission, the vision. The business, we are doing business because honestly, I don't have to work that hard. And flying around and I spend most of my time at the airplane. Why? I ask myself, why? Why I'm still working so hard? Because when I see my customer, when I see the things I'm changing, we are changing society, changing China, improving China. I was very moved most of the times when I have, a couple of years ago when I was at dinner, some small restaurant, people pay for me. And with a note say, Jack, thank you very much for Alibaba. Because of you, we hired 3 more employees last year. We made money. And I did not smoke. People would send me a package of cigarettes and say, thank you very much for helping us. So this is that we know it's not how much money you make. It's how much you can contribute to the society. That's the second.
Is it so China's going to change and change? Is this going to is business going to be these groups of Chinese internet companies especially be the thing that's going to change the society in China or culture?
Yeah, we are changing, and we are changing very fastly. The first thing that we changed for Alibaba e-commerce we changed is that, number 1, we make credits mean, good record. Good credit means money. Because many years ago, you have a good record, but you're not rich, you're poor, because there's no connection. So on Alibaba and Taobao, the more reference you have from the customers, we make you richer. We make you successful. And we are connecting that. This become important.
So what are the key trends right now, and then we'll get to some questions if we have any, in China, right? What are the key trends happening within at least the Chinese market or the world market, if you want to talk about, that you think are critically important?
Custom. Team.
Custom,
and your people. Always my people. And third is that the shareholder, which is transparent in governance. And also, the government is also important, as I always believe. But my advice to everybody here, if you work with government, everywhere in the world, the government is the same. In love with them, don't marry them. I love them, I respect them, but just don't do business together.
Right. Don't marry them.
Yeah.
I wasn't planning on that. But when you say that, but I'm talking about bigger trends, internet trends. What's the critical things? You talked about commerce.
Yeah.
It's an area that's...
Yeah, SNS, commerce, and I think search engine, and also online gamings. There's still, I think SNS is growing very fast.
Right. And the last question, China copying. We were going to talk about that. Who's going to have someone coming out that looked like him. How do Chinese companies, it's, sort of whether you believe it or not, the Chinese companies copy U.S. versions. Andrew Mason was talking about a Groupon in China called Groupon. It's not Groupon.
Groupon? Really?
Yes.
Oh, I thought it was a Groupon.
No, there's Groupon and then there's another Groupon that's not Groupon.
Okay.
Confusing, but it's a clone, essentially a clone that has the same name. How do you, this idea of fast innovation in China happening, when does the big company come out of China that is sort of a Google or an Amazon or something like that? And is that changing the idea of not cloning but in creating these new kinds of companies?
Well, I had a sort of big pain, as like any companies, that I have a big pain about China cloning, copy. Because when Alibaba started, there are about 2,000 companies copy our model in China, our internet. But we believe the dream. We today, not because we're smart, because we insist on doing that. So today we are probably the only B2B last, and we got the C2C market and B2C market. We believe it, and I think the copycats cannot last long. And one of the scholars told me, say, Jack, everywhere in the world, when the GDP per capita is 3,000 to 4,000, this is the tough period that every nation had same problem. US had it, Japan had it, Korea had, China is having that. So if you believe the future, if you believe that with our efforts, everybody's efforts, today the same thing. I don't think Tencent is copying. I don't think Alibaba is copying. We believe we're creating the new model that really tailor-made for Chinese users, and that makes us successful. If companies like us successful, people will say, wow, what made them success is the mission, vision, the entrepreneurship. It's not the copycat.
Right.
Yeah, that takes time, but I think we're moving to that direction.
Mm-hmm. And in the next era, the big new hot company will come out of China. Do you perceive that?
Taobao probably.
Anything you find really exciting right now?
Oh yeah, there are a lot of tiny exciting. I think just like 10 years ago when we started Alibaba, nobody believed we could work from apartment that to this size. This is why Alibaba Group, that we focused on small, medium-sized companies, entrepreneurs, because unfortunately when I go to these forums, a lot of forums, it's always boring to listen to the big companies guy talk. I see the KPI, the IPO, the PE, the competition, but when I talk to the SME, I saw the passion, I saw the dreams, I saw the hopes. And stay with them, make us energetic, because I know they will be the tomorrow Google, tomorrow Facebook, tomorrow eBay. Yeah.
Any questions from the audience? Probably you guys are tired. Go ahead.
So Jack, you talked about liking to build things from scratch. You talked about, when people think you're crazy about going into a market, you want to go build it. So, my question for you really is Africa, right? So a place where entrepreneurs exist, they need platforms, systems to go and then build upon. So is that on your radar? Where in your 90-year history do you go there? And if so, which countries?
Well, I think when Alibaba chose the place where there are SMEs, small, medium-sized companies, so we went to India. And the next is South America, which we also focus on a lot. We invested a lot in the States because we think when President Obama said we needed jobs, SME are doing that. But Africa definitely, I'm interested. I was planning to go there in July for a trip and understanding Africa better, but because of Alipay, whatever,
Yeah, whatever.
But I will be there.
Yeah. By the way, thanks for all the news. But go ahead. Sorry. So Africa.
Thanks for coming. It's great to have you here. Given your success and the relative struggling of Yahoo in the U.S. market and globally to some extent, do you have any advice for Yahoo? What do you think they should be doing now, given how challenging things are here for them?
Well, I think it's not easy to turn around a company. It's not easy for anybody. And I show great respect for those people still fighting for Yahoo. I mean, today in the U.S. turning around like Carol, it's not easy job. It's under great pressure. Even today in Alibaba, when we are still growing up, we're still tough. But I think Yahoo probably should be more open-minded and using various ways to solve the problems.
Such as? More open-minded? What does that mean?
Well, I think I read a lot of news on the street, on newspaper and magazines and on the internet, and people give hundreds and hundreds of ideas and suggestions. But what I want to say is what the management, what the board of Yahoo wants to do instead of the other people. If you don't have your own thinking, just like me, I don't want to be a public, shareholders and telling me this and that, I want to say what is our thinking. So I want to know what the Yahoo really want. I cannot teach them because in the U.S. market they do much better than we do. We are focused.
Is there anything you would do?
Anything I would do?
What would you get into? Separate. Maybe you can answer the question, what is Yahoo, finally?
Separate it, probably.
What?
Into small pieces, and running big companies is not easy, then make it smaller.
Make it a smaller company.
Yeah.
And focused on?
Focused on what they believed.
Which is? What would you believe in?
What I believe? No. What I believe is not important. What Carol believed is very important.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair. Last question.
Thank you.
Jack, Chris Traub from SES. Good to see you again. When you look at the very successful Chinese companies, particularly in the internet space, and you see the different performance that they've had in China versus, some very well-known Western companies, what lessons might you share regarding how they hire, train, compensate, lead people? And is there something there that makes them more successful? Whether it's you, whether it's Baidu or other companies. You know, how do Chinese companies make their teams so much more successful in China? And maybe how can Western companies become more successful in how they build their teams in China? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much for the question, this is my favorite question about people development. There's no best people outside a company. I think a lot of multinational companies, they come here, they want to get headhunting company here and there, get people quickly make the business. They believe the business model is important and then hire good people outside. I think the best people you train yourself, you develop. And I told myself, I'm not a capable person. I tried 3 times for entering university, failed. And I applied 10 times to Harvard, all got rejected. And I applied jobs for 27 jobs, all rejected by people. So I understand today why Jack Ma can be here, can talk, because we learn from society. We train our own people. So have patience. Treat your people well. I think one of the my shareholders, which I probably, partner I don't agree with, is about how do you treat your people. And I think that China is different from the other nations like Japan or USA. China is very entrepreneurial, just coming up. So give young people opportunities, give them training and development, making sure they're happy. I think if your employees are happy, the customer will be happy. If the customer is happy, business is done. So I think Baidu or Alibaba or Tencent, we are the same. We spend a lot of time, I spend a lot of our resources and time on training our own people. And we hope, like Jack Welch said, 20 years later, 20% or 30% of the CEOs of China are from Alibaba Group. And this is what I'm doing. I was trained to be a high school teacher, and I think developing people is the key. Thank you.
Anyway, Jack, thank you so much.
Thank you.